So today I'm here with our Generation 2 Prius, our 2007 Prius, and we're going to demonstrate a safe down procedure. We're also going to demonstrate a voltage check procedure where we can actually check the voltage of the high voltage battery plus and negative and determine whether or not the vehicle is safe to work on. So before I proceed, kind of just an overview of the procedure. I'm going to go through the normal safe down procedure using my safe down gloves. So I've inspected these gloves and make sure these are in good shape. I'm going to go through, I've already disconnected our 12-volt auxiliary battery. So that's disconnected. Now I'm going to go through the high voltage disconnect procedure, which involves removing the orange safety plug from the side of the high voltage battery, and then proceeding on with the service. So there's a couple things that I'm going to need in addition to my safety gloves. I'm also going to need a class 3 1000-volt multimeter. So we can see that on the bottom of this, right down here, we have class 3 1000-volt rated multimeter. You'll also notice, I don't know how well you can see it, but these leads are also rated to Cat 3 1000-volt. So this meter and the leads are safe to use on a hybrid application with voltages up to 1000 volts. I'm going to do a quick meter check. I'm just going to do a resistance check on my leads. See if you can get a good shot of this. And we're getting less than 0.3 of an ohm, so that looks like it's just fine. I'm also going to do my dead test. So I'm going to go back here on the battery and do that. So I'm going to demonstrate our dead battery test. I'm going to come in here right on the auxiliary battery, which I did hook back up. And we're going to go on the negative, and you might have trouble seeing, but on the positive back here, we can see that the battery is measuring 1.5 volts. So let's see if I can get a shot of that for you. I'll just turn you this way. See, our voltmeter is measuring 1.5 volts. So this battery is pretty well dead anyway. Even if it was hooked up, I think it would be safe to work on. So we're going to go ahead and re-disconnect it and then move forward in the procedure. So we're going to take you through the removal of the high voltage safety plug on this hybrid battery, and then we're also going to partially disassemble part of the case kind of over here on the left side of the battery for the sake of measuring our high voltage battery bus to make sure that the capacitors and the inverter are completely discharged and the high voltage bus is safe for us to work on without gloves. So our first step in that, now that we've disconnected our 12-volt auxiliary battery, is we're going to put on our high voltage safety gloves. Slide them on, make sure the uppers are all good. We've already checked these also, and we're going to go over here to this plug on the Prius. It's a pull up and cam out, and then that plug comes right out just like that. So we're going to continue with our procedure. One of the things that we need to do is we need to clear out some of these panels, and we need to clear out the rear leftmost split fold seat. So we'll do that now, and we'll start pulling this guy apart. Now for this next step, you're going to notice that I'm going to put my service gloves back on, so I can actually leave my service gloves off while I'm taking out some of these external bolts. But then as soon as I start getting to the point where that cover is about to come loose, I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on. And one of the reasons we do that is these external covers are designed to not possibly touch some of the terminals on the inside, but we still don't want to take that chance. So again, minimizing risk, we want to go ahead and try to make sure that we're not producing a scenario where potentially we could get shocked by a panel falling on a terminal or something of that nature, and getting to the point where we sustain an arc. So I'm going to put my get these last few bolts out for this under panel, and we're going to go ahead and throw our gloves on and do the rest. Okay, so since we've got this last cover off, we've got some exposed battery terminals here. So at this point, I would not want to leave this vehicle this way if you're going to leave the vehicle for any reason. So anytime you go to lunch break or finish up for the day or something like that, I would not leave this vehicle in this condition. I would replace the panel that we just took off, and at least get a couple bolts in that, so that nothing was going to fall in here or anything like that and pose a problem. So just to give you an idea, if you notice my meter is away from my face, so I'm back under here, hello. My meter is away from my face, and we're going to measure on this side of these terminals. The reason we measure on this side of the terminals is this side is actually looking at voltage that's present on the high voltage bus in the vehicle. So we're going to go on the vehicle side. Here's terminal 1, terminal 2, and we're going to use our DVOM probes. We're going to separate them, and you notice I'm using my gloves, and we're going to touch both of these, and we get 0 volts between those two. So we get 0 volts potential. So everything past these contactors is safe. If I go back here and measure this, you can see we have not a whole lot of voltage there. I wonder why that is. So it looks like, or it appears, that this battery may be in a non-serviceable condition. Looks like we're getting 0.04 volts, so not nearly as high as we would expect it to. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why this is not charging. Oh, I know why it's not charging. Because we disconnected our high voltage service plug. So even if we got to the point where we had open terminals over here, because this is disconnected, this disconnects the pack about halfway through the pack. So there's 0 volts between these two terminals because there's no continuity through the rest of the pack. If I were to plug this back in, helps if you go the right way in. Go down here. There we go. Cam lock it. Now that this is plugged in, I should measure my battery voltage down here on these terminals before what we call the contactors. So now I'm measuring OL on my meter. I'm going to go to range. And now I'm measuring 213.9 volts. So there's 213.9 volts between those two DC terminals. If we notice over here on this side, there's still 0 volts. So these contactors are off and they are disconnected. So at this point, with this high voltage safety plug disconnected, we can go back, double check. Still got 0 volts on the vehicle side. We have 0.1, 0.2 volts on the battery side. So this vehicle is now safe to work on. At this point, we could disconnect these terminals and remove the battery from the vehicle if we so choose, if that's what we're servicing. We could also do any kind of battery service we wanted to take on inside the vehicle, or if we needed to do any high voltage service on the rest of the vehicle, like the inverter or the AC compressor or something like that. This is kind of the easiest way to verify that that circuit is dead and is therefore serviceable without your service gloves. So, okay, so I'm going to put this cover back on and reassemble this battery. So a few things to remember from that service procedure. As you noted, I was using proper technique, especially with my DVOM, so I did a live dead live test. You didn't see the second portion of the live dead live test, but I did check my meter to make sure it was reading what voltage I would expect on a safe voltage. And then I was also using my meter inside the hybrid battery to verify that it was dead while I was inside, and actually verifying that that bus voltage was zero. So I did a couple of tests there. Notice the meter at all times was away from my face. This is to prevent facial injuries should the meter, if the meter's been tampered with or something like that. It's good practice to have even if you are using your own meter, especially if other people are using meter. You never know if it's been dropped or some of the circuitry's been damaged inside, so you really don't want to hook it to a circuit not knowing whether or not that meter's in good shape. So just good practices to stay in touch with. You also notice that for the most part the job was pretty easy. That's one of the easiest access points for high voltage bus voltage that we can get on most hybrids. So the Prius is pretty easy to do. The Volt's a little bit more complicated to do, and the Volt also involves a couple of special tools that all shops may not have. So there's a couple other ways to do it on some other vehicles. It just depends on what you're working on. But the Prius is a fairly easy access point right back here at the battery, and it makes an easier access point than going up on the big heavy inverter. So yeah, so that's it. If you have any questions about this procedure or any other vehicles, be sure to reach out and talk to me. Thanks.